Hello students, in today's class we will learn about motion in a straight line, NCERT example 2.4 to 2.7 and NCERT section 2.5. Disclaimer: the images, text and other materials used in our presentations are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the content immediately. Please note that parts of the content may have been generated using generative AI, which is experimental. So in today's lecture, we will cover first example 2.4 to 2.7. After that, we will cover relative velocity, then summary. So example 2.4. So there is a condition and condition is free fall condition. Please discuss the motion of an object under free fall and neglect air resistance. So here you have to discuss the motion of an object under free fall condition. So in free fall condition, the acceleration is equal to g, acceleration due to gravity. The numerical value of acceleration due to gravity is minus 9.8 meter per second square in free fall condition. Answer: an object released near the surface of the earth is accelerated downward under the influence of the force of gravity. So it means when we dropped any object, or we can say when we released any object near the surface of the earth, in that case the acceleration due to gravity is acted vertically downward. Look at figure. So suppose we released a ball near the surface of the earth. So this one, surface of the earth, and when the ball hits the ground, so the distance covered is d. Initial velocity of the ball is 0. So here g is acceleration due to gravity is always 9.8 meter per second square. The magnitude of acceleration due to gravity is represented by small g. If air resistance is neglected, it means the air resistance value is 0. The object is said to be free fall. So as shown in the diagram, so this is the free fall condition. Free fall condition. Free fall. So this is the condition of free fall. If the height through which the object falls is small compared to the Earth's radius, g can be taken to be constant and equal to 9.8 meter per second square. It means suppose the height is here d is very small. This height d, small d is very small, as compared to the radius of the earth. In that case, the value of small g is 9.8 meter per second square. In free fall condition, or we can say free fall condition is thus a case of motion with uniform acceleration. We assume that the motion is in y direction, more correctly in minus y direction, because we choose upward direction as positive. So there are two suppose we draw our coordinates like this, x-axis and x prime, y-axis and y prime. So from origin O to upward direction through y, O to y, this is vertically upward direction, and O to y prime, this vertically downward direction. So y direction is more correctly, minus y direction is more correctly, because we choose upward direction as a positive. Since the acceleration due to gravity always downward, the acceleration due to gravity acting vertically downward towards the earth's surface. In that case, the acceleration due to gravity is taken as a negative, in negative direction, because in free fall condition the direction of the ball vertically downward. We have A equal to minus g, acceleration due to gravity. The value is minus 9.8 meter per second square. The object is released from rest. So when the object is released from the rest, the initial velocity is 0, and the initial position is also 0. So here if we talk about rest condition, so y equal to 0, meaning the point where we release the object is the origin. Therefore v naught is equal to 0, and the equation of motion becomes v is equal to 0 minus gt is equal to minus 9.8 t meter per second. So y equal to 0 minus half gt square is equal to minus 4.9 t square m. So, and third equation become v square is equal to 0 minus 2gy is equal to minus 19.6 y meter square per second square. So just substitute the value of y equal to 0 and we get all three equations of motion. These equations gives the velocity and the distance traveled as a function of time, and also the variation of velocity with distance. These three equations, first, second and third. The variation of acceleration, velocity and distance with time have been plotted in figure 2.7a, b and c. So our first case is variation of acceleration with time. This one, variation of acceleration with time. So horizontal direction time and vertical direction acceleration. Here acceleration is constant. Look at here. Acceleration is when we increase the time passes. Suppose the time 1 second. Suppose the time 1 second. The acceleration is here minus 10 meter per second square. So time is 2 seconds. In that case, acceleration is again minus 10 meter per second square. And suppose we talk about this line, this blue line. So when t equal to 1 second, in that case the acceleration is minus 9.8 meter per second. And when t equal to 3 second, minus 9.8 meter per second. So suppose t is equal to 3 second here. So in that case also the value of a is equal to minus 9.8 meter per second square. It means this is the constant acceleration due to gravity. Clear? Motion of an object under free fall. Second case is variation of velocity with time. This one. This shows the variation of velocity with time on x-axis, or we can say horizontal axis time, and on vertical axis velocity. So this shows the velocity with time. Here velocity is decreasing. Suppose when we talk about at t equal to 1 second, the velocity is this one, minus 9 meter per second. Suppose when we talk about velocity is 9 meter per second, and when we talk about the at 2 second, velocity is this one. Suppose at 2 second velocity is minus 20, and at t equal to 3 second, velocity is again changed here. It means the velocity is continuously decreasing here. 10 meter per second, 20 meter per second, velocity is decreasing continuously. So this is the variation. Third case is variation of distance with time. This one. So here on y-axis distance and on x-axis time. So this shows the variation between distance and time. Example 2.5. Galileo's law of odd numbers. The distance traversed during equal intervals of time by a body falling from rest stand to one another in the same ratio as the odd numbers beginning with unity. So namely 1:3:5:7. Proved it. So we have to prove this terms. Think about it. So let us divide the time interval of motion of an object under free fall into many equal intervals, tau. So here tau is the time intervals, and find out the distance traversed during successive intervals of time. Since initial velocity is 0, so we have y equal to minus half gt square. This one. So due to initial velocity is 0, so equation become this one. I hope this is clear. So y equal to ut plus half at square. Here acceleration due to gravity is negative, so the equation become y is equal to minus half gt square. Using this equation, we can calculate the position of the object after different time intervals, and the time intervals is 0, tau, 2 tau, 3 tau, which are given in the second column of the table 2.2. So let's see the table 2.2. So this is the table, and this is very important, so listen carefully. So first so we here choose the initial time t equal to 0, and the different time intervals t equal to tau, and t equal to 2 tau, t equal to 3 tau, t equal to 4 tau, t equal to 5 tau, and t equal to 6 tau. So these are the different time intervals. Now, according to time intervals, listen carefully. According to time intervals, just substitute the value of time in this relation. Y equal to minus half gt square. So t equal to when at t equal to 0, at t equal to 0, y become 0. When at t equal to tau, t equal to tau. So when t equal to tau, in that case y equal to minus half g minus 1 by 2 half g tau square. And when t equal to 2 tau, in that case the y equal to minus 4 1 by 2 g tau square. Similarly, tau equal to 3 tau, t equal to 3 tau, the equation become minus 9 1 by 2 g tau square. T equal to 4 tau, the y equal to minus 16 1 by 2 g tau square. And when t equal to 5 tau, the y equal to minus 25 half g tau square. And when t equal to 6 tau, at t equal to 6 tau, the equation become minus 36 1 by 2 g tau square. So this is the values of tau, values of y according to different time intervals. So y in terms of y naught. So here we consider y naught is equal to minus 1 by 2 g tau square. So just substitute the value of y naught instead of minus 1 by 2 g tau square. So it becomes 0, y naught, this is 4 times. So 4 times y naught, this is 9 times y naught, 16 times y naught, 25 times y naught, and 36 times y naught. So this is the equation in terms of y naught. Now we will calculate the distance traversed in successive intervals. So when at t equal to 0, so there is a no distance traversed in the successive intervals. So when at t equal to tau, t equal to tau, so y naught minus 0, this is y. Successive interval is y naught. When t equal to 2 tau, successive interval, this 3 y naught. Similarly, 5 y naught, 7 y naught, 9 y naught, and 11 y naught. So just subtract. So 9 minus 4, 5. 16 minus 9, here 16 minus 9, 7 y naught. And 25 y naught minus 16 y naught, 9 y naught. Similarly, 36 y naught minus 25 y naught, 11 y naught. So this is the distance traversed in successive intervals. Now we have to calculate the ratio of distance traversed. So here the coefficient of y naught is 1. So 1. Coefficient of 3 y naught is 3. Similarly, if we talk about t equal to 3 tau, in that case 5, and so on, 7, 9, and 11. This one according to different time intervals. This is clear. If we take minus 1 by 2 g tau square as y naught in the position coordinate after the first time interval tau, then the third column gives the positions in the unit of y naught. So the fourth column gives the distance traversed in successive tau second. We find that the distances are in the simple ratios, and that ratios are 1 ratio 5 ratio 7 ratio 9 ratio 11 as shown in the last column. And this law was established by Galileo Galilei, who was the first to make quantitative studies of free fall. So this is the distance ratio travels: 1 ratio, 3 ratio, 5 ratio, 7 ratio, 9 ratio, 11. Example 2.6. Stopping distance of vehicles. When brakes are applied to a moving vehicle, the distance it travels before stopping is called stopping distance. So this is the definition of stopping distance. It is an important factor for a road safety and depends on the initial velocity v0 and the braking capacity or deceleration minus a, that is caused by the braking. Derive the expression for stopping distance of the vehicle in terms of v0 and a. Think about it. So let the distance traveled by a vehicle before it stops be ds. Then using equation of motion, v square equal to v0 square plus 2ax, and noting that initial velocity is 0, final velocity is 0. So we have the stopping distance is ds is equal to minus v0 square divided by 2a. This one. Here stopping distance, because at stopping when we talk about the stopping distance, final velocity is 0. Thus the stopping distance is proportional to the square of the initial velocity. This one, square of initial velocity. Doubling the initial velocity increases the stopping distance by factor 4 for the same deceleration. So this is shows the dependency of stopping distance and initial velocity. So this is important concept. Stopping distance is an important factor considered in setting speed limits, for example, in school zones. Example 2.7. Reaction time. When a situation demands our immediate action, it takes some time before we really respond. Reaction time is the time a person takes to observe, think, and act. For example, if a person is driving and suddenly a boy appears on the road, then the time is elapsed before he slams the brake of the car is reaction time. Reaction time depends on complexity of the situation and on an individual. So here you can measure your reaction time by a simple experiment. Take a ruler and ask your friend to drop it vertically through the gap between your thumb and forefinger. So figure 2.8. After you catch it, find the distance d traveled by the ruler. In a particular case, d was found to be 21.0 centimeter. Estimate reaction time. Think about it. So this is free fall. The ruler drops under free fall. Therefore, initial velocity is 0 and acceleration due to gravity is minus g, minus 9.8 meter per second square. And the distance traveled d, the reaction time tr are related by d is equal to minus 1 by 2 g t square r. So equation become TR equal to under root 2D divided by GS. So given that D is equal to 21.0 centimeter and G is equal to 9.8 meter per second square, the reaction time is this one. TR is equal to under root 2 into 0.21 divided by 9.8. So it will be 0.2 second. Clear? Relative velocity. And this topic is important, very important. Objective: understanding velocity differences between two or moving reference frames. Relative velocity. So here question arises, what is relative velocity? So relative velocity is the velocity of an object as observed from another object's reference frame, considering both objects may be in motion. So let's take an example. Imagine you are walking on a moving train. You are walking on a moving train. To someone on a train, you might appear to walk at 5 km per hour. Your speed is 5 km per hour. To someone standing on the platform, your speed would be your walking speed plus train's speed, and the difference is observed velocity is the relative velocity. And the relative velocity between two objects A and B is defined as this one. Velocity of A with respect to B is equal to velocity of A minus velocity of B, where VAB is the velocity of object A relative to velocity B, and VA is the velocity of object A and VB is the velocity of object B. Similarly, the velocity of object B relative to that object A is given by this one. Velocity of object V relative to object A is equal to velocity of B minus velocity of A. So this is the formula to calculate the relative velocity. Clear? Example: an aeroplane A flies with a velocity of 450 meter per second to north direction, while an aeroplane B travels at a velocity of 500 meter per second to south beside aeroplane A. Calculate the relative velocity of aeroplane A with respect to aeroplane V. So here you have to find out the relative velocity of aeroplane A with respect to aeroplane B. Think about it. Solution: the relative velocity of aeroplane A with respect to velocity of aeroplane B is calculated as follows. So formula is this one: velocity of A with respect to B is equal to velocity of A minus velocity of B. Substituting the velocity in equation, we get this one. Velocity of A with respect to B is equal to velocity of A, that is 450 meter per second, and velocity of B is minus 500 meter per second. So solving this, you will be get 950 meter per second. Here velocity of aeroplane B is considered negative as it flies in opposite direction to the aeroplane A. A motorcycle traveling on a highway at a velocity of 120 km per hour passes a car traveling at a velocity of 90 km per hour. From the point of view of a passenger in a car, what is the velocity of the motorcycle? Let us represent the velocity of the motorcycle as VA and velocity of the car VB. Now the velocity of motorcycle relative to the point of view of passenger is given as this one from this formula. Velocity of A relative to velocity with object B is equal to velocity of A minus velocity of B. Substituting the values in the above equation, in this equation, we get 120 minus 90 is equal to 30 km per hour. Hence the velocity of motorcycle relative to passenger of the car is 30 km per hour. Now I hope this is clear. The concept of relative velocity is clear. Using some examples. With the help of some examples. Summary. Instantaneous velocity or simply velocity is defined as the limit of the average velocity as the time interval delta t becomes infinitesimally small. So v equal to limit delta t approaches 0. So the velocity is this one. Limit delta t approaches 0, delta x upon delta t equal to dx upon dt. The velocity at a particular instant is equal to the slope of tangent drawn on position time graph at that instant. And average acceleration is the change in velocity divided by the time interval during which the change occurs. So average acceleration is delta v divided by delta t. We already covered it. Instantaneous acceleration is defined as the limit of the average acceleration as the time interval delta t goes to 0. So A equal to limit delta t approaches 0. So acceleration is limit delta t approaches 0 delta v divided by delta t, or we can say dv upon dt. The acceleration of an object at a particular time is the slope of the velocity time graph at that instant of time. For uniform motion, acceleration is 0 and xt graph is straight line inclined to the time axis, and vt graph is a straight line parallel to the time axis. For motion with uniform acceleration, xt graph is parabola while vt graph is a straight line inclined to the time axis. The area under the vt curve between times t1 and t2 is equal to the displacement of the object during that interval of time. For objects is in uniformly accelerated rectilinear motion, the 5 quantities displacement, time taken, initial velocity, final velocity and acceleration A are the related by a set of simple equations called kinematics equations of motions. And the equations are v is equal to v naught plus at, x is equal to v naught t plus half at square, v square is equal to v naught square plus 2ax. If the position of object at time t equal to 0 is 0. If the particle start at x is equal to x naught, x in the above equation is replaced by x minus x naught. Units. So if we talk about the path, dimension is L, unit is meter. If we talk about the displacement, symbol is delta x, dimension is L and unit meter, and delta x is equal to x2 minus x1, final position minus initial position. In one dimension, its sign indicates the direction. Velocity, first average velocity, second instantaneous velocity. So if we talk about the average velocity, v bar, dimension formula is L t inverse, unit meter per second, and formula is delta x upon delta t. Instantaneous velocity, symbol v, and formula is this one. Limit delta t approaches 0, delta x upon delta t equal to dx upon dt. In one dimension, its sign indicates the direction. If we talk about the speed, so first average speed, second instantaneous speed. The dimensions are same, lt inverse, unit meter per second. Formula, path length divided by time interval, or we can say dx upon dt. Acceleration, first average acceleration, second instantaneous. So if we talk about the average acceleration, a bar, dimension l t raised to the power minus 2 unit meter per second square, and formula delta v divided by delta t. Thank you for your attention.